This verse has been one that I always come back to whenever I'm feeling weak, discouraged, or afraid. See, after the death of Moses, God called Joshua, who was Moses' assistant, to lead the Israelites across the Jordan River and take possession of the promised land. And God commanded Joshua to be strong and courageous as he guided and prepared him for the work that he must do. And it wasn't merely a suggestion to be strong and courageous, it was a command that God gave him. And this only shows Joshua's weakness, as he too needed encouragement even though he was a great leader. Joshua just didn't have the boldness or courage from his own strength, but through God himself. And this is why God makes it a point to say, "Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Joshua didn't need to be afraid because God would be with him. And it wasn't because he had that much strength on his own, it was only because of God being with him. So Joshua's success merely depended on God's presence with him. And we can relate this to our own lives whenever we feel fearful to step out in faith and lean into the unknown. Throughout our lives, we face so much uncertainty, and it can feel scary to trust that we're making the right decisions. But let this verse encourage and remind you to be strong and courageous even when we are afraid, because God is with us wherever we go. God encourages us to have faith and confidence even amidst hardships. God is guiding your every footstep, my every footstep, when we are walking with him, and we can rest knowing that he will never leave us or abandon us. The victory is promised when we press on, seeking to do God's will. Part of being strong is trusting in the Lord as our true source of strength, because in 2 Corinthians 12:9 it says that his power is perfected in our weakness. Joshua didn't know what was up ahead or what the challenges that he would face, but he still stepped out in faith and trusted that God would lead him and guide him and give him strength. And God promises to give us that same strength. He knows what you're going through, and he knows what you need. He knows the battles that you're facing and the decisions that you need to make. But Joshua 1:9 commands us to be strong and courageous and not to be afraid, because God is with us through it all. If you're going through heartbreak, I know it's painful, and sometimes we have to make hard decisions to let go and trust God. The future can seem uncertain and scary, but God promises to be with you and give you strength. When we know what God is calling us to do, we can rest, knowing he will get us through it, just like he did Joshua. Going through a loss or breakup or any kind can make us feel fearful, and just because we're letting go, but God commands us to be strong. When God told me to leave the toxic relationship I was in and to write a book about it, I was afraid to share my story in fear of what people would say or what people would think. But that's when this verse kept popping up, and I knew it was God. This verse is what kept me going and pushing forward, because I knew if God called me to it, he would get me through it, and I'll do the same for you.